The distress beacon shouldn't have existed. Commander Kelrath stared at the flickering signal on his tactical display, his three-fingered hands hovering over the controls. Human colonial frequency. Sector 9. That sector had been marked for Verak extermination 6 cycles ago. His orders were clear. Ignore human transmissions, maintain patrol route, report anomalies to Fleet Command. He deleted the report draft. The Thalmir didn't question orders. 23 years of war had carved that principle into their bones. Humanity was the enemy, the species that struck first, unprovoked, destroying the Thalmir research colony on Theros Prime. 3,000 souls vaporized in an instant. Kelrath had lost his brother in that attack. The war that followed consumed entire star systems. Yet his claws moved across the console, plotting an intercept course. Commander, his navigator Yaris turned with concern. That trajectory takes us off patrol. Sensor ghost, Kelrath lied smoothly. Possible Verak scout. Investigating. The lie tasted bitter. In his 12 years of command, Kelrath had never falsified a report, but something about this signal pulled at him. Perhaps it was the way it pulsed, erratic and desperate. Perhaps it was the memory of his brother's final transmission, cut short before anyone could respond. Perhaps he was finally going insane. His stealth corvette slipped through the debris field surrounding what remained of Research Station Kerrigan. The Verak had been thorough. Atmosphere vented from a dozen hull breaches, bodies tumbled in the vacuum, frozen in their final moments. 47 humans, Kelrath's sensors counted. How it could have slipped outside of our perimeters. 47 enemies. The beacon originated from the station's core, still sealed against the void. Someone was alive in there. Life signs? Kelrath asked. Yaris worked his console. Faint. One human. Biosigns erratic. Multiple Verak corpses in the same chamber. He paused. Commander, this violates... I know what it violates. Kelrath stood, reaching for his boarding gear. Maintain position. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, return to the fleet. And the human? Kelrath checked his weapon's charge. I'll handle it. The corvette's airlock mated with the station's emergency port. Kelrath moved through corridors painted with scorch marks and blood, both human red and Verak black. The emergency lighting cast everything in sickly amber. His thermal scanner showed the heat signature ahead, unmoving, in what his database identified as a research laboratory. He entered with his weapon raised. The human sat slumped against an overturned desk, one hand pressed against her side where dark blood seeped between fingers. A woman, his translator supplied, though Kelrath found human gender distinctions difficult to parse. Dark skin, close-cropped hair matted with sweat and ash. Her other hand held a plasma cutter, its energy cell depleted. Around her, 7 Verak soldiers lay in various states of dismemberment. She'd killed 7 Verak warriors with a mining tool. Her eyes found him. Focused, despite the pain. Recognition flashed across her face. She knew what he was. The ridged bone structure of his skull, the silver skin, the build of a Thalmir commander. Make it quick, she whispered in human standard, the translator rendering it in his native tongue. I'm tired of fighting. Kelrath lowered his weapon. The gesture confused her more than if he'd fired. She tried to raise the plasma cutter, found it empty, let it clatter to the floor. What are you waiting for? You're injured. Kelrath accessed his medical kit. How long ago were you hit? What does it matter? But her voice wavered, hope and fear warring in her expression. You're Thalmir. I'm human. We've been killing each other for 2 decades. 23 years, Kelrath corrected, kneeling beside her. And right now, you're bleeding to death. I'm going to seal that wound. Why? It was a fair question. Kelrath didn't have a good answer. He applied the medical foam, watching it expand and harden, stanching the blood flow. The woman gasped, then steadied. What's your name? He asked. Dr. Elena Morrison, xenobiology specialist. She studied him with scientific curiosity now, the same way she might examine an interesting specimen. You're really not going to kill me? Not today. Tomorrow? I haven't decided about tomorrow yet. A sound that might have been a laugh escaped her. Honest. I appreciate that. She gestured weakly to a data terminal still flickering with power. "You should see what I was working on. What they died trying to protect." Kelrath helped her to a chair before accessing the terminal. Files bloomed across the holographic display. Communications intercepts, signal analysis, timeline reconstructions. His translator worked overtime processing the human text. Then he saw it. The attack on Theros Prime, the one that started everything. Time-stamped transmissions between Verak command vessels. Position 3 light hours from the research colony. Orders to deploy a warhead while transmitting on human frequencies. A false flag operation designed to ignite a war between two species that had never even met. "This can't be real," Kelrath breathed. "I thought the same thing." Elena's voice was stronger now, gaining intensity. 6 months ago, we intercepted a Verak data burst. Encrypted, but we broke it. Everything's there, Commander. Every provocation. Every escalation blamed on humanity that the Verak orchestrated. Every Thalmir attack on our colonies that Verak intelligence fed to your command is legitimate targets. She pulled up more files. They've been playing us against each other from the beginning. Kelrath scrolled through transmission after transmission. Verak agents posing as human merchants, selling weapons to Thalmir separatists. Verak hackers inserting false intelligence into both human and Thalmir networks. Verak ships painted with human markings, attacking Thalmir outposts. 23 years of war. Millions dead on both sides. All of it manufactured. My brother, Kelrath said softly. He died at Theros Prime. I'm sorry. Elena's expression held genuine grief. I lost my parents at the Battle of Proxima. They were civilians, medical transport. She met his eyes. The Verak have cost both our peoples everything. Kelrath's combat computer chimed an alert. We need to leave, now. Elena tried to stand, swayed. Kelrath caught her, surprised by how light humans were, fragile, compared to Thalmir physiology. Yet this fragile creature had killed 7 Verak soldiers to protect her research. Can you walk? Can I download those files first? He almost smiled. Even dying, she thought, like a scientist. Already done. Move. They made it halfway to his ship before the Verak cruiser dropped out of hyperspace. Kelrath's corvette was built for stealth, not combat. Against a Verak heavy cruiser, he had perhaps 90 seconds before they were atomized. He slammed Elena into the co-pilot seat and fired engines before the airlock fully sealed. Strap in. The Corvette leaped forward, engines screaming. Verak weapons fire traced past them, superheated plasma that would have vaporized the smaller ship on contact. Kelrath threw the vessel into an evasive spiral, using the station's debris field for cover. They're hailing us, Elena said, working the communications console with surprising competence. Don't answer. They're threatening to fire on the station if we don't surrender. Kelrath punched the throttle, rocketing away from Kurgan. Behind them, the Verak cruiser's main cannon spoke. The research station, already dying, bloomed into expanding plasma. They just killed their own evidence, Elena said quietly. They killed witnesses. Kelrath plotted a jump to hyperspace. You and your research are the only proof left. The Verak cruiser was faster than it looked. Weapons fire bracketed them, closer with each salvo. Kelrath's shields wouldn't survive a direct hit. He needed 10 more seconds to calculate a safe jump vector. Can this thing fight? Elena asked. It has torpedoes, 2 of them. Against a cruiser? Suicide. Elena's hands flew over the weapons console. What if we didn't aim for the cruiser? Kelrath saw her target solution and felt something like respect. The largest piece of station debris tumbling between them and the Verak ship. Structurally unstable, full of ruptured fuel cells. That's insane. I'm human. We specialize in insane. He armed both torpedoes. Fire. The weapons streaked across space, impacting the debris simultaneously. The explosion wasn't nuclear, but it didn't need to be. Shrapnel and flame erupted in an expanding sphere, filling the space between the Corvette and the cruiser. The Verak ship plunged into it, shields flaring, sensors blinded. Kelrath jumped to hyperspace. The blue-white tunnel of faster-than-light travel enveloped them. Safe, at least temporarily. Kelrath's hands shook as he released the controls. Combat adrenaline fading, leaving exhaustion in its wake. Where are we going? Elena asked. Good question. He couldn't return to the fleet, not with a human aboard, not with evidence that would unravel everything his people believed. His commanders would either dismiss the data as human propaganda, or worse, they'd already know the truth. Either way, Elena would be executed and the files destroyed. You need medical attention. Real medical attention, not field dressing. There's a human medical station at Ganymede, in the Sol system, the heart of human territory, where Kelrath would be shot on sight. That's your home system, he said. It's also the only place where this data might actually be heard, where it could make a difference. Elena turned to face him fully. I know what I'm asking, but if even one person in our chain of command believes this, if we can prove what the Verak have done, we could end this war, or start a new one, against the Verak. A war against the species actually responsible. Elena's voice hardened. Instead of killing each other while they watch and profit, Kelrath thought of his brother. Thought of 23 years of fighting an enemy that shouldn't have been an enemy at all. Thought of how many Thalmir and humans had died, because the Verak needed them weakened, divided, destroying each other. He adjusted course for Sol. This is treason, he said, for both of us. Elena smiled, tired but genuine. Welcome to the Resistance, Commander. The journey to Sol took 3 days in hyperspace, 3 days trapped in close quarters with a human. Kelrath expected awkwardness, hostility, the weight of 2 decades of propaganda making every interaction tense. Instead, they talked. Elena told him about Earth, about oceans and mountains and cities built on hope instead of war. She described human art, music that Kelrath found chaotic but strangely moving when she played it through the ship's speakers. She spoke about her research, her fascination with alien biology, her dream of understanding the universe's incredible diversity. She asked about Thalmir culture, about their home world, Thal, with its crystal forests and binary suns, about their philosophy of duty and honor, concepts Elena found both admirable and tragically exploited. She wanted to know everything. Their food, their family structures, their literature. We're not so different, she said on the second day, sharing ration packs across the Corvette's tiny galley. We both value loyalty, sacrifice for the greater good. We both create art, tell stories. We both mourn our dead and hope our children will see better days. The Verak knew that, Kelrath said. That's why they feared us together. 2 young species expanding into the galaxy. If we'd met peacefully, formed an alliance. Elena trailed off, imagining possibilities. We could have been incredible. Could still be, Kelrath offered, if we survive the next few hours. They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Sol system. Immediately, proximity alarms screamed. Human defense satellites locked weapons on them. Kelrath's tactical display lit up with enough firepower to crack a moon. This is Earth Defense Station Olympus. A voice crackled over communications. Male, human, broadcasting in both languages. Unidentified Thalmir vessel, you are in violation of the Sol exclusion zone. Power down weapons and engines or be destroyed. Elena reached for the communications panel. Kelrath stopped her. Let me, he said. He opened a channel, knowing this moment would either change everything or end with his ship atomized. Earth Defense, this is Thalmir Commander Kelrath of the vessel Silent Wing. I am transmitting IFF codes and biometric data. I am not here to attack. A long pause. Then, Commander, your presence here is an act of war. I know. Kelrath took a breath. I'm requesting asylum. The word seemed to suck oxygen from the channel. Silence stretched for 10 seconds. 20. Kelrath watched targeting solutions tighten on his ship. Say again? The human controller's voice was incredulous. Asylum, Kelrath repeated. I am in possession of intelligence critical to both our civilizations. I am carrying a human survivor from Research Station Kerrigan. We are being hunted by Verak forces. I am requesting protection and the opportunity to present evidence that will change everything you think you know about this war. Commander, This is Director Patricia Hayes of Earth Defense Command. A new voice, older, female, carrying authority. Do you understand what you're asking? Yes, Director. I'm asking you to trust your enemy. I have 300 weapons pointed at your ship. Give me one reason not to fire. Elena leaned forward. Director Hayes, this is Dr. Elena Morrison, Xenobiology Division. Commander Kelrath saved my life when he had every reason to let me die. He risked everything to bring critical intelligence to Earth. If you shoot him now, you'll be doing exactly what the Verak want. Another pause. Dr. Morrison will need verification of your identity. Elena transmitted her credentials. The silence that followed felt eternal. Kelrath watched the tactical display, ready to jump back to hyperspace if those targeting solutions went active. Stand by for escort, Silent Wing, Hayes said finally. Any deviation from assigned course will result in immediate destruction. Is that clear? Perfectly clear, Director. 6 human fighters materialized around them, weapons hot. They formed a cage, guiding the Corvette toward Earth. Kelrath had seen the planet in intelligence briefings, but nothing prepared him for the reality. Blue and green and white, glowing against the black of space. Beautiful, fragile, home to 8 billion souls who would want him dead if they knew he was here. They docked at Olympus Station, a massive military installation that bristled with defensive weapons. Marines in powered armor surrounded the airlock, weapons trained. Kelrath opened the hatch slowly, hands visible. Director Hayes waited in the docking bay. A woman in her 60s, gray hair cropped short, eyes that had seen too much war. She looked at Kelrath with naked suspicion. "Elena," she said, not taking her eyes off Kelrath. "Are you here of your own free will?" "Yes, ma'am. Commander Kelrath is responsible for keeping me alive. And this intelligence? It proves the Verak engineered this entire war." Hayes finally looked at Elena. "That's a serious claim. I have serious evidence." Elena held up the data chip. "But we need to move fast. The Verak know we have this. They'll be coming. Let them come. They'll find Sol System well defended." But Hayes gestured to her staff. "Get the doctor to medical. I want that data analyzed immediately. As for you, Commander," alarms shrieked across the station. "Director!" A technician's voice boomed over speakers. "Multiple hyperspace signatures bearing 270. Verak capital ships." Hayes's face went pale. "How many?" 12. "No. 15. Ma'am, it's an assault fleet." Kelrath's tactical instincts screamed. "They followed us. This was a trap." "A trap?" Hayes rounded on him. "You led them here? They were always coming," Elena shouted over the alarms. "Don't you see? They know what we found. They can't let Earth see that evidence. They need us destroyed, and the data with us." The station shuddered as the first Verak weapons reached Earth's outer defenses. On displays throughout the docking bay, Kelrath saw the nightmare unfold. 15 Verak capital ships, each one capable of glassing a planet, against Earth's defense fleet of maybe 40 vessels. The Verak weren't here to capture. They were here to exterminate. "Director," Kelrath said urgently, "I know their tactics, their formation patterns, weapon configurations, command protocols. Let me help." Hayes stared at him for a heartbeat. Around them, Marines kept weapons trained on Kelrath even as their world prepared for invasion. The Director's career, probably her life, hung on the next decision. "Get him to tactical," Hayes snapped. "And someone get me the Admiral. We're going to need every ship we have." The command center exploded with activity. Holographic displays showed the battle developing in real time. Earth's defense fleet scrambled, taking formation between the Verak Armada and the home world. Civilian transports fled in-system, racing for the shelter of Mars or the belt stations. "Their flagship is the center vessel," Kelrath said, studying the formation. "Verak Admiral Shrike. He'll coordinate from there while the flanking ships form a hammer and anvil." "How do you know they're Admiral?" Hayes demanded. "We've fought him before, 3 times. He won twice." Kelrath pointed to the display. "He'll try to force your fleet wide, then collapse the center. If he breaks through your lines, Earth is exposed. A human admiral appeared on the main screen, transmitting from the fleet flagship Perseverance, Admiral James Crawford. His uniform decorated with 20 years of combat ribbons. His expression when he saw Kelrath was pure hatred. "Patricia, why is there a Thalmir in my command center?" "Because he's the only one here who's fought this Verak fleet and lived," Hayes replied. "Jim, we don't have time for politics. They brought 15 capital ships to kill one corvette. That should tell you how important this is." Crawford's jaw worked. "I want him in restraints, and I want to win this fight. Choose." The first exchange of fire lit up the display. Earth's ships had better point defense, but the Verak had overwhelming firepower. 2 human destroyers died in the opening salvo, vaporized by concentrated plasma fire. "They're focusing fire on your left flank," Kelrath said. "Shrike wants to roll you up from that side. All ships reinforce left flank," Crawford ordered. "Concentrate defensive fire." The Verak adjusted, exactly as Kelrath predicted, the hammer and anvil, shifting to exploit weakness. But this time, humans knew it was coming. They shifted formation, presenting a hardened line instead of a vulnerable flank. "He'll try to break center now," Kelrath said. "He's aggressive. He won't accept a stalemate. How do we counter?" Kelrath thought fast. In 3 previous engagements, Shrike had adapted to every tactic thrown at him, but those had been Thalmir tactics. Human doctrine was different. Humans fought dirty. They improvised. They took risks that made Thalmir commanders uncomfortable. An idea formed. "You need to bait him," Kelrath said. "Make him think he's winning. Pull back your center. Let him think he's broken through. Then hit him from the flanks with everything you have. That's suicide. The center ships will be destroyed. Not if they jump to hyperspace at the last second. Micro jump, just enough to clear the kill zone. The Verak will charge forward thinking they've won and walk right into your crossfire." Elena appeared beside Kelrath, a medical tech trying and failing to keep her in the bay. "It's what humans would do," she said to Crawford. "It's insane enough that he won't see it coming." Crawford looked between them. Kelrath, the enemy. Elena, the scientist who'd survived impossible odds. Outside, another human ship died. "Do it," Crawford ordered. "Center ships, prepare to execute emergency jump on my mark. Flanking wings, stand by for concentrated fire." The Earth fleet pulled back, center collapsing as if overwhelmed. The Verak fleet surged forward, Shrike sensing victory. Capital ships accelerated, weapons blazing, pushing through what they thought was a broken defense. "Now!" Crawford shouted. 6 human ships vanished, micro-jumping clear. The Verak fleet plunged into empty space, momentum carrying them forward into the teeth of 40 human ships firing from both flanks. It was slaughter. Verak shields overloaded, hulls cracked. 2 capital ships died immediately. 3 more crippled. The formation shattered, Shrike's careful tactics dissolving into chaos. "Flanking ships are trying to withdraw," a technician reported. "Don't let them," Kelrath said. "Shrike will regroup if you give him time. Press the attack." Crawford needed no encouragement. All ships pursuit course. Hit them while they're scattered. The battle raged for another hour. Brutal, close-range exchanges where ships died in fire and vacuum. But humans had the advantage now. They were defending their home, fighting with the desperation of a species that had nowhere left to run. When it ended, 9 Verak capital ships were destroyed. 4 more limped away in retreat. Shields collapsed. Hulls bleeding atmosphere. Earth had lost 14 vessels, but the home world was safe. In the command center, silence fell. Exhaustion mixed with disbelief. They'd won. Against impossible odds, they'd survived. Crawford stared at Kelrath. "You could have lied, given us bad intelligence. Let us die." "I could have," Kelrath agreed. "But then the Verak would have won, and both our species would continue believing the wrong enemy." Hayes pulled up Elena's data, now analyzed and verified by Earth's best intelligence analysts. "It's all true," she said quietly. "Every bit of it. The Verak played us from the beginning." "Show it," Crawford said. "Show everything." They did. Every file, every intercepted transmission, every piece of evidence that the war between Thalmir and humanity was manufactured. The proof spread through Earth's command structure in minutes, to the fleet, to the civilian government, to the public networks where 8 billion humans learned the truth. The enemy wasn't who they thought. This changes everything, Hayes said. Will it change enough? Kelrath asked. Will your leaders believe it? Will they act on it? Elena stepped forward, still battered but standing straight. That's why we need you, Commander. You're living proof. A Thalmir who chose to save a human life, who risked everything to bring us the truth. You can't ask humanity to trust your people and then disappear. She's right, Crawford said, the hatred in his eyes replaced with something else. Respect, perhaps, or at least recognition. You'll need to speak to our government, to our military commanders. You'll need to be the face of this alliance. I'm one soldier, Kelrath protested. I have no authority to speak for the Thalmir sovereignty. You have the authority of courage, Hayes said. That counts for something. Over the next days, Kelrath did what no Thalmir had ever done. He stood before Earth's unified council and told them the truth, not as a prisoner, but as a witness. He showed them the evidence, corroborated Elena's research, explained the Verak manipulation in clinical detail. The hardest part was reading the names. Thalmir and human casualties of battles that should never have happened. His brother's name among millions. Elena's parents among millions more. A toll of suffering built on lies. We can't undo what's been done, Kelrath told the council. But we can choose what happens next. We can continue the Verak's work, destroying each other until both our civilizations are ash. Or we can honor our dead by becoming what the Verak feared most. Allies. The vote wasn't unanimous. Too much hatred, too much grief, too many who couldn't accept that the enemy might become a friend. But it passed. Earth sent a diplomatic convoy to Thal, carrying Elena's evidence and Kelrath's testimony. The Thalmir sovereignty, presented with undeniable proof of Verak treachery, faced their own reckoning. Some wanted to continue fighting humanity out of pride or momentum. Others saw the bigger picture. The war that had consumed 23 years ended not with a final battle, but with a handshake between two species who should have met as explorers instead of soldiers. Kelrath stood on Earth in a garden outside the council chambers, watching the sun set over mountains that had witnessed humanity's entire history. Elena found him there, moving without pain for the first time since he'd rescued her. They're offering you citizenship, she said. You'd be the first non-human to receive it. I'm still Thalmir. You can be both. That's what ambassadors do. He turned to face her. I brought death to your doorstep. 15 Verak capital ships. You brought truth. The Verak were always coming for Earth eventually. At least this way, we were prepared. At least this way, we're not alone anymore. Footsteps on the garden path. Admiral Crawford approached, his expression unreadable. Kelrath tensed, expecting accusation or demands. Instead, Crawford extended his hand. The Perseverance needs a new tactical advisor, he said. Someone who knows how to fight Verak. Someone who knows how to think like the real enemy. He paused. Job's yours if you want it. Kelrath stared at the offered hand. A human gesture of trust, of partnership. He thought of his brother. Wondered what he would have made of this moment. Wondered if the dead could forgive the living for choosing peace. He clasped Crawford's hand. I accept. 3 months later, the first joint Thalmir human fleet deployed against Verak positions along the border worlds. They called it the Alliance Fleet, a name that terrified the Verak command structure more than any weapon. Because two young species, building empires among the stars, had finally found each other. Not as enemies, but as something the galaxy hadn't seen in centuries. Equals. Kelrath commanded from the Bridge of Perseverance, Elena beside him analyzing Verak communications, Crawford coordinating fleet movements with Thalmir precision and human audacity. They fought like they'd trained together for years instead of months. The Verak broke, fell back, retreated from worlds they'd held for decades, because the trap they'd so carefully laid had sprung backward. The war they manufactured to weaken two rivals had instead forged them into an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. And it had started with one alien commander who intercepted a distress call he should have ignored. Who saved one human life when protocol demanded he end it. Who proved that sometimes the hardest choice, the one that breaks every rule and risks everything, is the only choice that matters. In the darkness between stars, where the Alliance fleet jumped from victory to victory, Kelrath sometimes thought about that moment on Research Station Kerrigan, when Elena assumed he'd come to kill her, when he'd lowered his weapon instead. One choice, one chance, one alien asking humanity for asylum, and everything changed.